What's going on, everybody? We are here with my brother in the struggle, Raghu, who is more than gracious with his time because not only is he coming to us from the Reboot implementation program, but today is literally his birthday. What's going on, Raghu?
Hey, brother. Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, and thank you for taking the time and making the time.
No worries, man. Always.
Yeah. Thank you for talking about your experience with us. First things first, since you're coming from the implementation program, how did you end up finding the program to begin with?
I've been listening to JK's podcast, I would say more than these 6 months. It's probably close to a year, but yeah, I've been listening to JK's podcast for more than 6 months. And to be honest, at the end of 2022 rather, when 2023 started, I was in a desperate situation. So just to give a bit of background about myself. So I'm an international student here in the US. So I was close to completing my master's degree and I had to find a way to stay in the country and find a job. And my addiction had got in the, I wouldn't say got in the way, but made it really difficult for me to get the things done that I had to. So I had tried getting over this addiction by myself, tried filters and stuff, but I couldn't. I listened to JK's podcast and he said, if you're really serious about getting help for this, you can't do this on your own. Just give us a call and we'll take it from there. And that's what I did.
I love that. And when you were trying to figure things out on your own, pre-reboot, what were the types of things that you would try to implement or try to do?
Honestly, it was just adding filters to all the devices that I had. So I would say I've gotten pretty good at blocking, like having really tight filters. Like I've tried a number of mobile apps and desktop. I've tried a number of mobile and desktop apps to block all these sites. But the thing is, at the end of the day, like, you don't address the core issue. It's you don't know how to deal with those emotions, and your filters can only get you so far. And you will always find a way around them, no matter how tight your filters are, how strong your filters are. You're gonna find a way around them if you don't address the core issue. Yeah, to answer your question, yeah, that's all I had tried. I was not self-aware at all, to be honest. I just thought, oh, I have this urge. I should not. Let me just try willpower. It will just go away. I shouldn't go to those sites. It doesn't work that way, obviously. So yeah, that's about it.
I love the fact that you said that because it's so true. The filters can only get you so far if you're not addressing some of those core issues.
Yes.
I'd be curious about hearing a little bit about what were some of those core issues that you were trying to work through.
So for me, I would say the core issues were basically my insecurity. I've never had a lot of confidence about myself or confidence in myself, not a lot of self-esteem. There were a number of reasons. I grew up in an environment that was very academic focused. So all of your self-worth was determined by how well you do in academics or how much you earn at your job and stuff like that. And it really, and I don't want to blame my circumstances or whatever, but the thing is that the point being that I didn't develop the tools to deal with the stressful situations that life throws at you inevitably. I always used to blame myself if something went wrong. Oh, it must be, or either that, or oh, he's the reason I'm feeling so sad. If he hadn't done that, I wouldn't be feeling like this. And also, I was terrified of approaching women. I've never been in a relationship ever because I was terrified of approaching women. But basically, it all boils down to my insecurity and lack of self-worth. That was what I was mainly medicating with this behavior.
So a lack of self-esteem, self-worth,
Exactly.
That's a lot of what you were meditating. Understand. Yes. And I know for a fact that a lot of us out there, myself included, can relate to what you're saying. Like that lack of sense of self, really. There's just so many limiting self-beliefs that we're walking around with, and you act out so that you don't necessarily have to feel those things anymore. I know my name. So many of us out there can relate to that. So thank you for speaking that truth. But with that said, once you joined the implementation group, can you talk about your experience a little bit while you were in the group?
Yeah, the one good thing I did is like when I joined the group, I would say I went all in, at least during the initial 2 months, because I used to post regularly. I used to do the exercises. Though I was doing it more mechanically, I didn't understand why I was doing them, or at least not understand deeply. So when you do something like a feelings exercise or something, you identify your emotion, but it's okay. All right, I'm feeling like this, but why do you identify your emotion? What comes next? The thing is, I was new to the program, right? But so I didn't have that deep understanding. So you get that from experience alone. But one good thing I did was I stayed active in the group. I didn't let that initial resistance, oh my God, this, I have to put my face out there. So embarrassing, because as an addict, you're very isolated, right? You're lost in yourself. You don't want to talk to people. There's a lot of shame involved. So I'm glad I didn't let that stop me. But over time, as I continued using the tools, there was a time where after the initial few months, I had my first slip. But I picked myself up from there, and I've used the tools again and again. And right now, I would say I'm in a pretty good place. And the thing is, I used to attend coaching calls as well, especially Dr. Eastman and Coach Milan. They've helped my reboot a ton. They've helped me see, okay, these emotions that you have, these strong emotions that get you in a sort of hyped up state, you have to learn to calm yourself down. And once you do that, you'll be able to address what's leading to that emotion in a more rational manner. And the thing is, it's an emotion, it's going to pass, that's its nature. But when you are in that state, you just don't realize that. You'll feel that, when will this go away? You're just lost in that emotion. The program really taught me the tools to actually deal with that. I would say that has been one of the highlights of my experience. The program is getting that self-awareness, realizing most importantly that these strong emotions that you feel, they will pass. It's just their nature. They'll come and they'll go. You will have a really negative emotion now, and suddenly after some time you'll feel good about yourself, and that will pass too. Yeah, that would say that has been the highlight of my experience with the implementation program. Learning that emotions are just transient.
Emotions are transient. That's a really interesting way of putting that. And I love how you were emphasizing your newfound sense of awareness, because that is such a vital part of rebooting, right? Like, all of us that have given into urges knows what it's like to feel like you're like under control of some other being, right? Like your brain is like on this like invisible leash.
Oh yeah.
Something you don't want to do, but there we are. So the fact that you always have a choice seems so foreign, especially when you're first starting out. But as far as gaining that sense of awareness goes, you were talking about the tools that you were taught to use. You had mentioned the feelings exercise, which is fantastic. What other tools did you start to learn how to use?
So I would usually do a feeling. So especially when I had an urge, I'd fill out the masturbation checklist as the first go-to. The thing is, I used to fill it out mechanically, and then I realized, okay, let me be more deliberate with it. This isn't just some checkbox that you tick, right? The point of the checklist is to identify why you are having that urge. To just give that pause before you start acting out. Okay, just think about it. Basically putting that space between stimulus and response. So I think that's the main purpose of those tools. You don't react, but you respond to them, right? So I used to use the masturbation checklist, and then a feelings exercise, and then do an IBRB once I'd calm down, and then dialogue as well. I didn't start off dialoguing until I started reading the book Breaking the Cycle, because I used to do it like, okay, I was in the group and I heard brothers talk about it. Oh yeah, and I post a few dialogues, but I didn't really understand the essence until I read the book, what it was about. So I started incorporating dialogue into my toolkit, if you can call it, to deal with urges. So masturbation checklist, feelings exercise, IBRB, that is rational beliefs, and dialogue. So these would be my 4 go-to tools to deal with urges.
What tool do you think helped you out the most?
Dialogue. Because the thing is, like, it's a conversation. You don't have to think so much about it. With IBRB, it's a bit more, you have to be a bit more, how do I say this? You have to think about it, think about the response a bit. And in that state of when you're having that urge, it might not always be that easy because you can't think straight, to be honest. But with dialogue, you can just have a conversation with your inner addict, or the addict subpersonality, as they call it. And he can let you know what's going on. And he usually does for me. In fact, he does it all the time. So I get to know why I'm having this urge. So that's an amazing tool, man.
Yeah, it's so good. It's my favorite one to talk about and do, really, beyond all of them. That's my favorite. So I'm glad you got a lot out of that. Dialoguing is so great. It really is a genius tool. Most of it, just so I can just share a little bit, so that way we're on the same boat. Yeah, like dialoguing has been my favorite tool by miles because I love to write just creatively in my own. So this was like a way to create a character out of this urge or feeling or thought pattern. And just like Raghu said, for anybody out there who might not know what this tool is, basically it's when you literally write down as if it were like lines in a movie or something or a script, lines between yourself and your subpersonality or your thought pattern or feeling that comes about a bunch, right? And you get to separate yourself from it. So it's here's you and here's that thought or feeling. Here's what you have to say and here's what your thought or feeling has to say. You're separating yourself from it. The way I like to think of it, it's like, because basically, let's imagine you come home after a long day of school, long day of work, you're exhausted. You come down, sit on the couch, trying to relax, and then all of a sudden you hear ding dong, there's a doorbell. And you're like, man, not now. I'm just trying to hang. I'm just trying to relax. I just had a long day. But you go to see who's at the door, and you open up the door, and it's somebody that you're not really a fan of, right? And now, in that moment, you have two different options. You can either slam the door in their face, get out of my house, or you can invite them in for a little while and ask why they came to visit you in the first place. Dialoguing is all about choosing option number 2. It's literally an opportunity for you to get to know this thought or urge or feeling that's trying to get your attention. All a feeling wants is to be felt. That's it. You know, like you mentioned Dr. Eastman, like she says, name, validate, feel.
Yeah.
In order to heal it, you have to feel it.
Feel it. Oh, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And it's so true. I'm glad you were able to come to that conclusion through your own dialoguing. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I think it helps to so I'll tell you this. So what I used to do is earlier in my dialoguing, I used to treat my addict, an opponent. Oh my God, why are you giving me this urge, man? Don't you know how we've done this so many times? It never helps. Why do you give me this urge? So you don't want to treat your addict subpersonality an opponent because the thing is, he's just trying to take care of you, man. He's trying to take care of you the way he knows best.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, and the thing is, unfortunately, the way he knows best isn't exactly healthy. But you can try and understand his point of view and then try to convince him and get him to your side. Hey, bro, I know you're trying to help me, but the way you want me to handle this emotion it hasn't helped us so far. So why don't we try this, my approach, and let's see if it works. Try to have a conversation with him, because if you're trying to fight with him and you insist that he not give you an urge or he not make you feel that way, then it's because JK says you have to work with your brain and not against it. So this is like you working against your brain. I would say this sort of perspective change has also helped me a lot in making my dialoguing exercise more effective.
That's awesome. So for anybody out there, your thoughts are not out to get you. Your feelings are not out to try to rule you and take you over and ruin your day. Again, all a feeling wants is what? To be felt. That's it, right? Yep. And dialoguing is about humanizing this subpersonality, as we call it, this thought or feeling that's gnawing at you, right? It's giving it a face, a name, a voice, right? And simultaneously, you're separating yourself from it. Therefore, you are not this feeling, you are not this thought. Here's you over here who the entire time is the one who's actually in control.
Oh, yeah.
You have a choice. I could talk about dialoguing all day. It's awesome. And I'm glad that it's worked out for you. That's amazing. You're in the group. So first of all, when you first joined the group, what were some of your feelings when you were just joining in?
To be honest, there was doubt when I joined the group initially, because I guess it's a normal emotion because you have invested so much in this program. You don't know if it's going to be worth it. So there was a lot of doubt. And to be honest, This is funny because when I started off the modules, I was like, and there's a recommended reading generally at the end of the module, right? In most modules, there's a recommended reading for that's sort of related to that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm investing so much. I don't even get these books for free or whatever. And there was basically all that sort of resistance. So, yeah, but the thing is, you have to trust the system. There has to be a level of trust because there's resistance that you get. At least this has been my experience. I've found out as I've spent more time in the program, found out that this resistance is your addict trying to not, he's trying to get you to not deal with your problem, if I can put it that way. Thing is, you have these tools and you have to use them because they're not going to use themselves for you. You have to use them. But the thing is, if you are going to go at it with an approach saying, oh my God, I don't think this is going to work, without even giving it a shot, then that's you giving in to your addict, to be honest. This was a problem I faced initially. I said, okay, it was like, okay, I'm gonna push through. I'm not gonna listen to him. Let me at least give it a shot, and then build a bit of consistency with it, and then you realize that tools do really work.
So. Yeah. Follow-up question to that.
Okay.
If there was a way, I mean, it's a cliche question, but if you had that time machine and you were to go back knowing what you know now and having learned what you've learned and experienced what you've experienced, what would you say to that Raghu who just joined the group, who was experiencing doubts, maybe some skepticism, maybe some anxiety, right? Knowing what you know now, having learned what you've learned, what would you tell that version of Raghu now?
That's a good question. I would say, bro, just trust the system. You've tried your filters and everything and it hasn't worked so far. So why don't you just give this a shot? You've invested in this, give it a shot and see if it works. It doesn't hurt to try. So and the thing is, one thing I've realized is that information is a lot more important than how much you have to invest, because at the end of the day, if you have information, you can implement it, right? You can put it to use. And because when I joined the program, I was a student, so I was always worried about finances and will I be able to afford the program and stuff like that. And I've sort of gotten out of that mindset as I've been in the program. But I would also tell him it's worth it. Try the tools, implement the system, basically. Trust the system and it'll work for you. Because if you don't, then there's really, why are you even in the program, to be honest? If you don't implement, this is the Reboot implementation program. Give it a shot, man. It'll be worth it. That's what I would tell him.
Yeah, I love that. And just to add on to that, something that we touch upon all the time, all the information is all for naught if there's no implementation. Exactly. When it comes to the implementation program, to implement is a verb, right? A verb is that means we're doing something. Yeah. There's plenty of information to learn, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things like the feelings exercise, dialoguing, and other various tools, and there's things to learn in our coaching calls, right? Oh, yeah. But at the end of the day, we can have all the head knowledge, but if we're not putting it out into the world, if we're not implementing, there's no growth.
Exactly.
That is the huge thing that we're striving toward, and clearly you've been striving toward in your own journey. What would you say?
I'll just add a point here. I'm sorry to interrupt. The thing is, I used to listen to a lot of motivation podcasts I used to look up a lot of motivation videos online. The thing is, yeah, you can feel good in the moment, but the thing is, JK says, because like commitment is everything. That's what I've realized. So if you don't take action, if you don't commit to something, it really won't pay. It won't really give you the real results that you want. He says commitment is doing the thing. I'm paraphrasing as I'm butchering his quote, but the thing is, commitment is doing the thing long after the emotion when you committed to it has passed. That is commitment. That is one thing that I've really ingrained in myself through this program. It's like committing. When I commit to something, I see it through. I have to see it through, building a consistent. So I also used to have a lot of problems with perfectionism. I guess a lot of addicts have that as well. If something goes wrong, we like, oh, it's not worth it, man. Why did I knew something would go wrong. But then that's not the way to do things. Of course, life is going to put obstacles in your way. Nobody's perfect. It's just an illusion. Perfection is an illusion. The thing is, once life hits you, you just have to get back up and try again. So that sort of, I know this It's very cliche what I'm saying, but it's a cliche for a reason, because it's a cliche for a reason. Like, people know that you can't just give, if you really want to achieve your goals or whatever, you just can't give up just because you face a problem or have a hindrance or an obstacle. You just have to keep going. So that's one, especially with for me personally, this consistency or commitment, I have really understood what it meant through my going to the gym and staying on top of my nutrition and physique. It has really taught me what commitment and consistency really means. All thanks to the program, to be honest. Yeah. Because the thing is, if you're consistent with one aspect of your life, you can take it to other aspects of your life as well. And that it's like a snowballing effect. Yeah. Thanks to the program. Big thanks to the program for that too.
Yeah. You were talking about your physique. Could you talk about your experience with Optimum U for a little bit?
Oh yeah. Before joining Optimum U, I tried Jeff Nippert's program, but the thing is, his workouts were very time taking. I used to be in the gym for hours, and it was really like build the resistance. There's only, if you're spending like 3-4 hours in the gym, you're not gonna go to the gym consistently, because it just takes too much out of you. But with Optimum U, my workouts are short, the rest times are short, my workouts are high quality, and I love the accountability that the group provides, and more importantly, you get your weekly coaching sessions with Coach Seamus. He's I don't know, like you get access to a world-class coach. You can tweak your nutrition. You can tell him where you're stuck with your physique goals, and he'll give you suggestions. And for the price that you pay, this is like a steal, man. Like Optimum U, I'm so glad I joined the program. And the thing is, the workouts keep changing every month. For me, it's actually a great thing, because I don't get stuck in a rut. I constantly challenge. It's a challenge, to be honest. Yeah, I love Optimum U as well. It's a great, for the amount that I invested. It's amazing. Yep.
That's awesome, man. And I'm really happy to hear that. With all of that said, with your experience in mind, with how you've grown in mind, and the difference that you see yourself, the difference in how you see yourself now versus when you first joined the group, out of curiosity, would you recommend this program to somebody else?
100%, man. 100%. All I'm going to say is, all the brothers out there who are struggling with this problem, all I'm going to say is, at the very least, just pick up the phone and give a call. And if you're not accepted for some unfortunate reason, at least the reboot strategist will let you know what you can do to at least deal with your problem in the meantime, or at least not deal with it, but at least do better than what you're doing right now. But for God's sakes, if you're accepted, just join the program, man. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be life-changing. It has changed my life, and I am 100% sure it's going to change your life as well. So brothers, please join the program if you can. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Raghu, first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And thank you for making the time and taking the time for being able to speak to me about your experience in the Reboot implementation program. Any final words for somebody who is on the fence of whether or not they should join the group, maybe somebody who is still experiencing that sense of doubt, like you'd mentioned, still experiencing that sense of anxiety or feeling despondent or struggling in silence the way that you and I have? Do you have any sort of parting final words for somebody who might be going through something like that?
All I'd say is, brother, like, if you're at a point where you've accepted that this is a problem and you're trying to seek help for it, you've already made a ton of progress, brother. So why not take it to the next level and dial the number and talk to a reboot strategist? It's a decision that basically has no negatives, to be honest. You'll get in the program if you're accepted, or else you'll get to know, okay, what can I do in the meantime to deal with the problems? Yeah, first of all, kudos if you're aware enough that you have this problem and you need to seek help for it, because there are a lot of people who don't even know that. And the fact that you know it, you should be proud of that. You really should, because eventually, even if you don't get accepted now, you are on a path that will lead. You're on a path that will lead you to a good place, because you're now aware that you have a problem, and eventually you will seek help for it. Because that's the way, at least that's been my experience so far, and I'm sure it's been an experience of a lot of brothers in the group as well. So yeah, brother, be proud. You're seeking help. You're gonna get over this. So that's all I'm gonna say.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. And I love how you specified, like, the fact that you are coming to grips with the fact that you do in fact have a problem. You're already ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
I love that you specified that. And if you need that help, we've got your back. We are brothers in the struggle. If you
Doesn't hurt to try. Doesn't
absolutely
hurt to try. Yep.
that, Raghu, happy birthday once again, brother, and I'll see you around.
Have an amazing New Year, brother. Awesome. Love you. Yeah.
All right, brother.